So about 70 people stood outside in freezing temperatures in front of the Greenbelt Federal Courthouse, and they were there in support of refugees.
Yes, that was last week. The Federal Courthouse here in Greenbelt. This is a national issue, but it became local last week. Mm-hmm. Among the 70, there were about a dozen Greenbelt residents who also participated. And at issue, there's a group of a coalition of entities, of organizations that process the claims of people who are refugees, who fear for their lives, for their well-being in their own country, and have asked to come to the United States to settle. And the groups that process these are seeking an injunction to put a stop, at least a temporary stop, on an executive order from this administration that said that these organizations, these refugee processing organizations, needed to get permission or the
just major bureaucratic hurdles on
yes.
many local levels, which is almost the way of saying no, right?
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. So we want to put this family in Indiana. So you have to connect with the local community to get their okay on it, and that's a difficult and extraordinarily. Anyway, they have until next Tuesday under this executive order, the 21st of January, to get the okay, and so that's one reason why the injunction is happening now, because if they don't get it, then there are many refugees that won't be able to be processed this year.
And there were, I guess, you mentioned 31 states. The governor of one of those states is now
the vice president.
Right.
So in the 31 states, that was from the Obama administration. When the Syrian war was especially hot, they said no Syrians here. But Governor Pence at the time tried to pass a law, make it a law in Indiana. It was not upheld. The courts knocked it down. But the point is that refugees, and these organizations argue from fact, that refugees come to the United States and they participate in our life, in our culture here. They send their children to school, they buy businesses, they are employed, they pay taxes, they buy houses.
Right, they put in the hours, they're economic engines here. Right?
Yes, yes, and it's a pretty high trajectory too. In other words, they hit the ground running when they arrive. So that's what was at issue. The judge asked the coalition, the plaintiff in the case, to write a sample injunction. Which suggests that he's going to rule pretty soon, and very possibly for the injunction.
Right, and so you say that deadline is Tuesday, so wait and see for now.
The deadline for, that's right, for the executive order. If the executive order, if there's no injunction on it, then Tuesday will stop this year's processing of refugees. So yeah, that's right. I guess it is Tuesday.
Let's move on to a city council work session with partners involved in the Beltway Plaza redevelopment. And this redevelopment could bring in 2,500 multifamily units and as many as 6,000 people.
Yeah, that's right. And that's after, so one of the big points of that meeting was, the original plan called for townhouses or condos.
And gone.
Yep. And that was completely taken off the table because of traffic problems and green space and other things. So, but still, even with that gone, there still are 2,500 multifamily residences that would be a part of this. The second version of the plan that was discussed at this work session also increased the number of businesses, and there would be more commercial space embedded. It's maybe not the word I want, but a part of the various multifamily
the residential areas, right?
Yeah,
which is kind of an interesting idea. I guess one of the things they talked about was the trouble that brick and mortar retail is in, and they think that, I guess, they assume that with 6,000 people next door, business will come in. Right?
Yeah, and also I think not just any brick and mortar, yes, brick and mortar, but also many malls. I think are seeing, malls in particular, which is what Beltway Plaza is now. So this would, I think, get rid of that kind of a structure, and the businesses would be, I guess, more available, or you could see them, you could walk up to them, and many of the business owners, many who'd been there for decades, were at this meeting and voiced their support for it. I think a key element, and we've seen this all the way along, it's been very consistent, and you may not always hear me say a happy word about developers, but the Quantum group has, I think, bent over backwards, has worked very hard to collaborate, to work with the city in a way they don't need to. It's not their problem. What are you going to do with these 6,000 people and sending their children to school and all the extra services? Ed Putin's raised the point that already we're seeing problems, and we've discussed that here at Greenbelt Station with parking and I guess recreation. So, and by problems I mean access, too many people. And so and the bottom line is I was glad that Quantum continues to want to, work with our community.
Keep an open mind. And I guess we can wrap this up with the City Council will vote on its recommendation to the County Council on this, and that's coming up pretty soon too. That's on January 27th.
That's right. That's at their regular meeting on that night. They're going to have a couple of subcommittee or a couple of committees, look at the issue from different perspectives and give their recommendation to the council for that vote on the 27th.
And lastly, we have Census Day coming up April 1st, and there is an effort to make sure that we're not undercounted, because they say a decade ago we were undercounted by 2+%.
Yeah, from what, 5,600? It's a big number of people, and I don't remember the figures, but that's a lot of money. Federal funding for localities, whether cities or counties in this case, are based on census count, as well as our representation in Congress, a lot of things. And so per person, it was
like $1,800 per person.
That's right.
And
so over 10 years, that's 10 times 1,800. That's a lot of money.
$18,000.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. So it's very important. So the county has a committee working on trying to get full involvement in the census.
And they want to make sure that people are not afraid due to their immigration status, their citizenship status, that they're not afraid to answer these things so that we get a real count.
The official we talked to pointed out that there are fines, for census workers who give out information that was given in confidence, that was given in the course of a census interview. And so, yes, your status, none of that will affect what, we're counting people for the sake of government services and so forth. Right. So you'll be hearing more. We'll be talking about the census a good deal. I know they will be doing some advertising even in our paper. This is a big deal, and Greenbelt needs to do its part.
Exactly. So 3 big stories this week.
Yeah,
right.
Big week.
Thanks for catching us up.
My pleasure.